Hey folks, how you doing out there? Welcome to a late and most likely pretty short Drinking a Wink info review. This is the second in our Who series, which is where I basically look around the back of the rack and try to see some bottles that I don't talk about too much or maybe haven't had in a bit, and just kind of bring them up to you. It's fun for me because, like I said, there's nothing really on my rack here that I don't like anymore. I get rid of the ones I don't like somehow. Sometimes I drink them, sometimes I find other places for them. But that doesn't mean that I'm getting to all of these every month, or even so in some cases every year. This one I've had maybe every couple of months since I bought it. I have a glass of it, and this one is called anCnoc, okay, or anCnoc. anCnoc. The pronunciation guide is on one of these boxes, pronounced anCnoc. Okay, so there really isn't an emphasis on either of that. I literally pull it off the shelf, grab myself a glass, pour it, and let you know a little bit about it. So the anCnoc distillery is another old distillery. Okay, wait, I'm already wrong. All right, I told you it was late. The anCnoc, a single malt, Highland single malt Scotch whiskey, is produced by a distillery called Knockdhu. Okay, and Knock and Knockdhu. And this is one of the few distilleries where the name of the single malt that they're putting out is not the actual name of the distillery. The name of the distillery is Knockdhu. The name of the bottling is anCnoc. Okay, this is a Highland single malt, which is located about 20 miles. It's 20 miles to the east, about from the Knockondo distillery. So, and that is spelled Knockckondo. So those distilleries existed side by side. Knockondo did more for blending. This distillery has also been added to blends in the history. Like I said, it was around for 1894. Had some, some times of closing down in the 1930s. Then it actually closed down in 1983. And again, it's sometimes funny when distilleries will close down. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're instantly torn down. Distilleries are a big time thing in Scotland, obviously, so something can close down or stop production, and it might be sold, but the distillery remains, and even in most cases is maintained for another purchaser or something like that. If you can understand that, I kind of get the idea. It's almost like a sports complex or like a small thing like that. The thing will close down, or maybe even a purpose-built thing, like you have a school here. Or I'm sure schools act like this everywhere, or work like this everywhere. But you have a school, and then maybe it closes down, and it's maintained by the state or somebody, whoever owns it, if it's a private school, or the realtor, and then it's sold again as another school, and with some upgrades, but the facilities remain the same. So anyway, this was closed in 1983, and then as maybe Scotch started making an upturn at the end of the 80s, it was produced by this newer distributor company called Inverhouse. Why did I stumble on that? Inverhouse. So we have plenty of other whiskeys that are owned by that company. Since then, they've been producing this very, I don't want to say delicate, just very down the middle, nice Highland style Scotch whiskey. Not peated in any way, as far as I know. And again, when we're talking about Scotch whiskey, we have different regions. We have the Highlands, we have the Lowlands, we have Campbelltown, we have Islay, and then we have the heart of unpeated Scotch whiskey, for the most part, Speyside. The boundaries of Speyside, which is something that's connected to the River Spey, and Highlands kind of intermingle. So we have sometimes we'll see some bottlings that say Highland and Speyside. Sometimes we'll see Highland. But what's interesting is some of the Highland whiskies that are to the east. I'm looking at Scotland. I'll try to do it backwards. Let's see if I'm doing this right. I'm trying to look at it. We're looking at it this way, and we're looking at the east. Okay, I can't do this anyway. Let's just very much pretend that this is Scotland right there, that blob. This area is kind of considered the Highlands. This area is where the Highland Park is, and then this one, this area, or the area to on this map, the east, is actually kind of more in the ballpark. You'll get some that have Highland notes and Speyside notes. That was kind of a long explanation of that. Again, the name is funny. It's all from Gaelic. anCnoc. anCnoc means, I think, the Black Hill. Knockondo means the little Black Hill. It's all very interesting. The bottle is somewhat nondescript. It's bottled at 43%. It doesn't have any information here in regards to if it's natural color or chill filtered, which means that we're guessed that, yeah, it's probably filtered. 43%, they might do that. On the nose, honey, vanilla. There's a nice little kind of banana note in there too. A little bit of nuttiness. Now the big nose, or as I like to call it, the big snoot. A little more earthier. A little bit of just a very small hint of ginger. But I wouldn't say that there's a lot of fruit on this nose. They say light and complex smoky taste with a soft note of malt and nuttiness. Smoky is not the idea of peat. This is more like a Highland peat. We're getting, I don't know if this is ex-bourbon or ex-sherry. Maybe it's a little bit of both, but it's definitely coming off as mostly an ex-bourbon dram. There's a little bit of earthiness. Maybe there's a proximity effect to the ocean. It's giving it a little bit of a peated note, but it's by no means a peated whiskey. On the taste, there's nothing wrong with this one. Comes in with lots of barley sugars and then a little bit of nuttiness. You're drinking malt whiskey because you get that flavor. Towards the end, you get a little bit of earthiness. A little bit of actually, like, I don't want to scare anyone off by saying celery, but like a very, just a hint of a vegetable note, or vegetal note, I should say. Kind of at the end of the palate. The finish is by no means a mind blower, but it's solid enough, thick enough. I would lean towards saying it's a medium finish. Maybe a little light. You get a little more pinginess of, now I'm getting a little bit of fruit. Apricot, a little bit on the end, which is nice. I don't normally get that kind of stuff on the end of most single malt Scotch whiskies. Usually I get a big blast of oak. There's a big hint of oak here at the end. A little bit of honey. Maybe that earthiness I can maybe say is, if you have ever kind of compared honey to agave syrup. Okay. I'm looking at some right over there, I think. It's on that. Yeah. That's the kind of earthiness that I'm getting. Doesn't mean it's a tequila. It doesn't need to be. Second nose, really getting more of the ex-bourbon cask there. It's very tasty. Let me hold it a little longer. Once again, like many whiskeys, and sometimes I make the mistake when I'm on video not doing it like I do properly over when I'm sitting in my nice chair. There's reasons to hold it longer. You get a little more complexity. Now I'm getting a little hint of a leathery note, a little more of a smoky note. Again, but I don't think there's any peated element to this. Sometimes, Highland Park does not claim to be a peated whiskey, but there's an element, a little peat in there. Getting a little bit of hint on that. It's very good. This falls in line with some other whiskeys from the same area. Some of them we know a little better. Deanston, which is slightly more well known, has this quality. This is reminiscent of Old Pulteney, but tastes a little fresher than Old Pulteney 12. I'm thinking of all the different 12-year-olds. And in terms of earthiness and that kind of sweet and sour flavor that we sometimes get, this could get close to Craigellachie, not so much Glenallachie. It's really tasty. I like this a lot. I will admit, part of the way, a reason that I got turned on to this was because one of the influencers that I listen to, we have mentioned him many times, Ralphie, Ralphie.com, or Ralphie, or the Whiskey Bothy. He goes by different things. He has probably more videos on whiskey, primarily single malt Scotch whiskey, than anyone else on YouTube. He's been doing it forever. Kind of a crotchety old Scottish guy who now lives on the Isle of Man. It's great. You got to check him out. He is definitely one to kind of turn away from big name brands. Like, I very rarely see him talk about Glenmorangie or Balvenie or some of those other Macallan. I don't remember him doing much on Macallan. Occasionally he'll do one of a Glenmorangie or Balvenie, but for the most part, he stays away from those bigger names because he has a more interesting taste. He likes things that aren't so. Most of those are going to be a little chill filtered, or they're not going to be natural color. Maybe some of them are, but he doesn't like that kind of stuff. And I remember him mentioning this one as maybe one of the new kind of, like, you want to get a very standard 12-year-old, this might be more pleasing, and it was more pleasing to him. It just has a more natural vibe to it, even though it probably has a little color in it, and it is chill filtered. There's not one off-putting taste on this. Sometimes in ex-bourbon casks that maybe haven't been treated quite as well, we're going to get a little nasty, I don't want to say tannic note, but a nasty old oak note on here. There's an oak note, but it's very good, actually. Drink it all night. I mean, it is wonderful. There's nothing. It has just enough interest that I'm not going to call it smooth, and I don't like to call things smooth. Yeah, but it's bordering on smooth, but there's a little bit of hint, especially if you hold it. And what I mean by that is I'm a drummer and I have good time, but that finger count off was horrible. Around 7. A new note, a little darker note, a little more complex note, a little bit of just a hint of like red orange and a little bit of apricot pop through that I wasn't getting when I'm just drinking and swallowing. I'm really pleasantly, again, this Who series, every time I have this, I'm just like, yeah, this is really good tasty whiskey. Very much an exemplar of the Highland model. And it is a few more notches better than some of the other Highlands that I would drink. Like I said, I would compare this to Deanston 12. I would compare it. Maybe it has a little bit waxy quality in the Klein Leash note. But here's the really good news. I checked, and this might be contender for, if you look across 12 years and you look at prices right now, 12 years that I would recommend as a nice, good starter 12. This one is right now in my area for $55. Most 12 years that were in the $55 to $60 range have now climbed to $70, unfortunately. This one is just really good. If you haven't heard about it and you want to listen to anything I'm talking about, I'm going to say this is not just a little bit. I'm going to give this a thumbs up. I'm not going to give it a really good high score. I'm going to give it an 8. I'm going to give it an 8-1, okay? Because it's just very good standard single malt Scotch whiskey, but I can taste it has enough interest It's not overpriced. It's just, this is it. It's very, very, nothing mind-blowing here. It's just very, very, very good. Yeah, I like it. If you have 50 single malt Scotch whiskeys in your collection, or maybe even if you have 30, okay, this one might not be a mind blower for you. If you have a couple and you want to get really a nice, you want to get away from big name brands that are at 40% and really just kind of designed to go easy, check this one out. This is a really nice one. Again, here you go. anCnoc, nothing really special about the bottle. Looking at this color at a 12-year-old, yeah, they might have added a little bit of colorant just to give it a little more richness. But this isn't missing any richness. This is a nice, bold is not right, just nice, solid flavor. I really enjoy this one. Can't stop talking about it. This is what I like to say. 43%. It's somewhat safe. This is a dangerous whiskey. You could drink a lot of this. It's got that little bit of everything. It's got a little bit of creme brulee and biscuity flavors. Then there's a little bit of nuttiness, plenty of honey and vanilla, and things, those notes that you get when they're aged in ex-bourbon casks, oakiness. But it's all kind of complex. I mean, it's all kind of compounded into a nice, there's no surprises. Sometimes that's what you want. I'm going to end this here. anCnoc 12 from the Knockdhu distillery, not the Knockondo distillery. This is anCnoc, and Knockdhu is the great choice for number 2 in my Who series. Boo. I was doing nice rhyming. Oh, I just did it again. Ooh. Oh. Anyway, check it out if you are looking for a nice little mid-priced, below $60 Highland Scotch whiskey. This one might be for you. Oh, I did it again. Ooh.